There's something fascinating about watching a genius at work. Well, not this kind of genius, but this works. That moment when someone pushes past what we thought was possible and shows us something entirely new. But there's also something deeply unsettling about what often happens next. A pattern that reveals a disturbing truth about the price of genius. To understand this pattern, I want to start with something that holds extreme power upon most human beings: cats. Okay, now that I got your attention, let's keep going. Specifically, the cats of Louis Wayne, an artist whose work you've probably seen without even realizing it. In the late 1800s, Wayne revolutionized how we see cats, transforming them from mere pest controllers into the beloved pets we know today. His early works showed cats doing human activities, playing cricket, having tea parties, attending school. In hindsight, he may have been the first to predict internet's unhealthy obsessions with cats. They were charming, precise, and helped change Victorian society's entire perspective on felines. Okay, but that's not the point! But what happened next is where our story really begins. Over time, Wayne's cats began to change. The realistic features started to fragment. Colors became more intense. Patterns emerged where there should be fur. If you look at his works chronologically, you can literally watch a genius mind fracturing before your eyes. His later cats aren't just paintings. They are windows into the mind reaching beyond normal human perception, showing us both the beauty and terror of seeing reality differently. This progression isn't unique to Wayne. Throughout history, we see this pattern repeat. Extraordinary genius followed by psychological fracture. It's as if the human mind can only bear so much insight before it begins to crack under the weight of its own understanding. The same pattern appears in Vincent van Gogh's work. Early paintings show careful technique, but as his mental state deteriorated, his style transformed. The paint gets thicker, the strokes more turbulent. The Starry Night isn't just a masterpiece, it's a document of how a genius perceives reality differently from the rest of us. Those swirling skies aren't an artistic license. They are what Van Gogh actually saw when he looked up in the night sky. Let's take a look at Nikola Tesla. Early in his career, his patents were revolutionary but practical. But as time went on, they became increasingly abstract, increasingly disconnected from physical reality. In his later years, Tesla claimed he was receiving signals from Mars.
We come in peace.
And if that's not wild enough, he developed an obsession with the number 3, and would only live in hotel rooms divisible by 3, and would walk around the block 3 times before entering a building. I mean, what the f***? This pattern becomes even clearer when we look at writers, where we can literally see the transformation on the page. Virginia Woolf shows us a similar pattern, but through prose. Her early work in The Voyage Out reads almost conventionally. As the streets that lead from the Strand to the embankments are very narrow, it was impossible to walk side by side. But by the time she writes The Waves, during one of her most psychologically intense periods, her writing has transformed into something entirely new. How strange the lamps look, and the trees and the calm waters of the river flowing beneath the arches. Everything seems new and strange, glowing, unreal, as if I had just woken from a dream. In her final novel, Between the Acts, written during her deepest depressions, her prose becomes even more fractured. Words rose above the intolerably laden dumb oxen plodding through the mud. Words without meaning. Wonderful words. Her stream of consciousness technique wasn't just a literary device. It was how her mind actually worked during manic phases. The normal narrative structures couldn't contain her insights. And this brings us right back to Louis Wayne's cats. Watch what happens as his schizophrenia progresses. It goes from this to this. From this to this. From this to this. Oh god, no! The cats begin to fracture, becoming kaleidoscopic patterns of color and energy. We are looking at something that resembles a mandala more than a feline, an explosion of symmetric patterns in psychedelic colors. These later patterns bear a striking resemblance to what modern neuroscience shows us about neural networks and fractal patterns in nature. It's as if Wayne's fractured mind could perceive the very architecture of reality itself. And this raises a profound question. Are these geniuses actually mad, or are they perceiving layers of reality that our normal consciousness can't access? When Tesla claimed he was receiving signals from Mars, was he delusional, or was his mind simply operating at a frequency we can't understand? Modern neuroscience offers us some intriguing clues. Research shows that what we call genius often involves unique neural connectivity, patterns of brain activity that differ significantly from the norm. The same patterns that enable extraordinary insights also create vulnerability to what we label as mental illness. It's like these minds are running an operating system that's incompatible with normal reality. But here's where our story takes an unexpected turn. In recent decades, something remarkable has happened. We're beginning to understand these patterns not as defects, but as variations in human consciousness. Modern medicine, therapy, and support systems are creating new possibilities. We are learning how to help brilliant minds navigate these dangerous waters without necessarily drowning in them. Think about contemporary innovators and creators. They are not immune to these pressures, far from it, but they have tools their predecessors lacked. Mood stabilizers that don't dull creativity, therapy that helps process intense perceptions, support systems that understand the link between extraordinary abilities and psychological vulnerability. We're finally learning how to nurture genius without sacrificing the person who bears it. And yet, this raises another fascinating question. Has the safety net changed the nature of innovation itself? Are we seeing fewer of those reality-shattering breakthroughs that historically came from minds pushing past all limits? The changes in our world today are impressive, but they are often incremental. When was the last time someone fundamentally changed how humans think about existence, or transformed how we see reality itself? Perhaps we are entering a new phase in human progress, where advancement comes not from individual geniuses pushing themselves to the breaking point, but from collaborative efforts of sustained, balanced innovation. It's different from the romantic image of the tortured genius, but maybe that's exactly what we need. Understanding this pattern isn't just about looking back, it's about looking forward. It's about finding ways to support extraordinary minds without demanding their sacrifice. It's about recognizing that what we call madness might sometimes be a glimpse of something beyond our normal perception. And honestly, that's why I opened this channel. I really believe that these expressions are not just creativity, but they are windows to the human psyche. So we can talk about really difficult things that I don't even think there are other ways of talking about them. Through film, video games, comics, books, art, science, we can always figure out who we are as humans. And there is something beautiful about that. So consider joining Lumina Mentis so we can explore different medias and what do they say about human beings. And I know it feels like I'm begging for you to subscribe, and I really am. Please subscribe. Okay, thanks. Join us on future explorations into the minds that shaped our world. Like this video if you found value in these insights, and share it with others who might appreciate this deeper understanding of genius and its costs. Because ultimately, this isn't just about the past, it's about our future, where genius doesn't demand madness as its price. That's a future worth working toward. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of understanding.